Assalamu'alaikum folks, and welcome back to another Chit and Chat video where I will be speaking to you guys very candidly in English. Now for this video, I would like to be answering one question that everyone has been asking on Instagram, on YouTube, and that is, how did you study English? First of all, I would like to clarify that everything that I'm going to be sharing in this video is not a how-to that you will have to follow every single step of. What I'm going to be sharing here today is something that is unique to my experience. So this is merely just something that I'm hoping to inspire. However, if you decide that what I've been doing so far to improve my English is not your cup of tea, then at least this video has helped you figure that out. So, without further ado, how did I study English? Now, with all language learning experience, I would like to divide this into 4 parts. The first is listening, the second is reading, the third is writing, and the last one is speaking. We're gonna start with listening. So, I became exposed to everything that was English quite young. On top of learning English in school, because my school taught English since first grade of elementary, I also went to English first, or EF, until I was around 7 to 8 years old. So that was around the time where I was getting familiarized with English. However, I wasn't really able to fully understand what was going on around me. However, I think it was around 8 or 9 or 10 where I became exposed to a lot of English children movies growing up. Things like Totally Spies, Glee, High School Musical, Camp Rock, all the Disney Channel films, you name it. Every time I would be watching these things, I would usually use Bahasa Indonesia subtitles until I got a little older, and then I started wanting to watch them and read English subtitles instead of Bahasa Indonesia. And so that was how I started learning or listening to English words. On top of movies, I think another thing that helped me a lot was definitely growing up with YouTubers. So when I was in middle school, the YouTubers that I grew up watching was YouTubers like Zoella, Alfie, Tyler Oakley, all the British YouTubers at their golden age. I also watched Nigahiga for American accent, PewDiePie for foreign accent, and Marzia also for foreign accent, PewDiePie's now wife. These are all the contents that I was really interested in when I was in middle school, elementary school, and these really helped me build an understanding of spoken English. Up until today, I still try to watch English movies without English subtitles as much as possible, but sometimes I myself find it difficult to really catch specific words or when the actors or the characters are speaking too fast. So, I would recommend for everyone to understand spoken English to maybe visit your favorite YouTuber, whether it be on nails, on makeup, on faith, on education. Go to a channel that talks about your favorite topic and try to understand that, and try to just watch from the beginning up until the end and then see if you can understand any of them. And I know that at the beginning you're probably going to be watching feeling completely lost. I started out that way myself, but after a while, I think after you come to learn how words work together, how you can construct certain sentences, you'll start slowly understanding spoken English. So, good luck on that. Visit your favorite YouTuber, learn English as much as you can, and get used to it. It'll take time, but it'll be a worthwhile process. Now, in terms of reading, I used to love reading comic books. I still read a lot of comic books today, and the comic books that I read are those from Japan. So I used to read Naruto, One Piece, Bleach. I used to read Detective Conan, Nico, and after a while, the Indonesian volumes weren't really able to catch up to the English volumes. And so somewhere along the line, I started reading the English chapters more than the Indonesian version. And after reading the English comic books, I started venturing into English version of novels that I've previously read in Bahasa Indonesia. So as a kid, I really loved Harry Potter. I still do. And in my house, we have all 7 books, from the first series all the way to the 7th. And I read all of them when I was in elementary school, and I wanted to read them in English. And so I started going online trying to find these books, and I started reading them. After I finished reading them in English, I started venturing into something that everyone here might be familiar with, but maybe some of you are not. It's called fan fiction. For those of you who are not familiar with the term fan fiction, it's basically an artwork or writings that are made by fans who love a certain work, movie, TV series, anime, anything. So growing up with fan fictions, I started reading fan fictions in Bahasa Indonesia first. And after a while, I started wanting to read the really good ones, the ones with the most reviews, the most kudos, the most comments, the most favorites, and these are usually written in English. And I thought if they're really good, then I really want to know what these stories are about, because I love just trying to understand the plotline, the adventure, the characters, the character development, the redemption, all of it. And so I started reading these English fan fictions, and I did not understand one word at all. It started with me figuring out, oh, it's this character speaking to that character, but I'm not exactly sure what's being talked about. Or I would say, oh, we're in this setting, we're in Hogwarts, and we're in a transfiguration class, but I don't know what's going on. And I was lost back then because I didn't understand English as well as now. I would only find joy in the little paragraphs that I would understand. But after a while, because I really wanted to be able to understand all of it, I would start just going back and forth between fan fictions and dictionary to really understand what certain words mean. And that is how I started adapting to reading works in English. But it wasn't until I was in university that I really started understanding academic English, and it took quite a while for me to adapt to the words. And when I was in my first year, I needed a lot of help from my friends, and I would tell them a certain paragraph that I honestly could not understand, and they will tell me, oh, look at these parts only, forget about the numbers, forget about the data, this is the main points, this is what you have to understand. So it is a learning process. I'm still trying to understand how to properly read journals and papers and even stories, and it really takes time for most journals, but really going at it and trying as much as you can is the only advice I have for you to understand written English. Okay, so in terms of writing, as you may very well know, I have a blog called Zhafira.com, and this hasn't changed since forever. And I started writing a lot about my school experience, what was in my mind, and it was basically a huge word vomit of what I was feeling growing up during my puberty years. So it was a lot of angst, a lot of tragedy, a lot of sad writings that if I look back into these writings that I wrote when I was 16, 15, or even younger than that, when I was 14, I always feel like going back to those moments and hugging her and tell her life is going to be okay. But anyway, I started writing a blog, and if you look back into my old writings, you'll find that my writings are not at all perfect. I was always okay making mistakes. I always knew that I wasn't perfect, and I was able to live with that. And I think that's why I was able to do anything that I'm doing today. But because these are only my personal thoughts and personal feelings, they weren't necessarily academic, so I wasn't able to write in a proper structure of intro, body, conclusion until I went to university. And so in terms of writing properly in a good structure with concise argument and good supporting evidence, I started learning that in high school in academic writing class. In academic writing class, they really brushed up my skills, and I think today I can write better than I used to. However, again, I am still learning on how to write properly in English, and if I have any advice for you in terms of writing, it is just to start. And it doesn't have to be anything academic. You don't have to build up a strong case against something or for something. Just write starting with what you know, which is about you, about your feelings, about who you are. Something that happened in school is something that you can write about. Your love for something, your joy for something. Maybe look up an Instagram or blogs that have writing prompts. They'll usually have questions for you to answer, and you can answer them on your blog. Sometimes it'll be like, if you could turn back time, where would you like to go? Or if you could choose between flying and diving into the ocean, which one would you choose? You can start from answering questions like that on your journals, on your diary, on anywhere, on your note on your phone. And what you can do is, after a week or two, you can always go back to them, read them again, and see if the writing itself sounds good to you. The art of really knowing how to write is knowing also how to proofread yourself. And even if you don't really know the correct grammar structure, sometimes with your feelings you'll know what sounds right and what doesn't sound right. So that is something that you can try, and I wish you the best of luck. And lastly, speaking. So how did I learn to speak in English so well? By trying. I really don't have any other advice or answer other than to just try. And this applies to every single aspect of studying English. But if I have to give a specific answer, I think it started in middle school, 7th grade. For a year, I was in an international school, Australia branch in Indonesia. And in this school, I was really pushed to speak in English as much as I can. So when I'm speaking to the teachers, when I'm speaking to my friends, it was almost a requirement for me to always try to speak in English, and that was when I first started. And when I found out that I wasn't really that bad, like it wasn't really that bad to speak in English, I think the first barrier that you'll have to overcome is yourself. But after you get used to it, and after you really give it a go, it starts feeling very natural to you, even if you're not entirely sure whether what you're saying is correct or not. So in 7th grade, I started speaking in English because my environment pushed me to. I was also lucky to have teachers who believed in me and sent me to speech competitions, and that was what really helped me improve. So when I went to speech competitions, usually what I would do is write my own draft, my own script, and then I would practice it over and over and over again until I'm 100% sure that I can win. Now, during these moments, I would usually practice with my English teacher, and if there are words that sounds weird, they would immediately correct me and say, this is how you're supposed to pronounce this word. And so I think those cycle of practicing over and over again for speech competitions wherever I would go to really helped me build that confidence of speaking in English, and also makes me feel okay at being criticized for my English skills when I'm not being 100% perfect. However, it really took a while to be fluent. I mean, of course, I'm not a native speaker. I wasn't ever raised in an English-speaking country, and I only had a short period of getting used to an English-speaking environment. So other than that, I was able to fully become fluent-ish in English after I came here, and really had to put myself in an environment where I couldn't survive if I don't speak English. And this is, you know, talking about my university, where I'm in an international program, and a lot of my friends, all of my friends speak in English, my professors speak in English, and all of my assignments are in English. And so I had to learn the hard way on how to deliver presentations, deliver arguments, and I think this was quite a very, very speedy development process, but it's definitely something that I thought was really necessary, because I was adamant on being able to do this, because I do one day hope to work in an international or multinational environment. And that is basically the 4 ways of how I learned English. And again, I'd like to say that everyone will have unique experience of learning English, so what worked for me may not necessarily work for you, and that is completely okay. One thing that I'd like to say to everybody is to be okay with making mistakes. People know that you're not a native speaker. I know that you're not a native speaker. Making mistake is normal and it's a part of learning. If you don't make mistakes, if you cannot push yourself to try and make mistakes, then you're never going to know what's correct or incorrect. And I think it's better to fix your mistakes now than to wait until we're in a professional setting and we have no idea how to interact in that situation because we're too scared of making mistakes when we were younger. So, just give it a try. The point is for you to have that courage, and the point is for you to get out of your comfort zone, because learning a new language is definitely not a comfort zone. So good luck for everybody, and I hope that this video can help you with your spoken English. Thank you so much, and I'd like to see you again in the next video. Assalamualaikum!